How's it going, guys? This is the American Foot Channel, and today we are doing Copa America predictions. I'm a little late to the party, but it's better to get them done now before the tournament starts, because then I'm just going to be cheating. Anyways, but before we even start that, don't forget to hit the like button if you're watching the Copa America this summer, and don't forget to subscribe if your favorite team is in the Copa America this year, or your country, or your favorite team. Maybe you might be from, I don't know, Bangladesh, and you're a Brazil fan. I don't know. But anyways, don't forget to subscribe regardless. So let's start with Group A, or in Spanish, Grupo A, since this is the Copa America. So in that group, we actually have Argentina, Peru, Chile, and Canada. The Canadians who are actually making their debut in Copa America here. Guys, so first off, I mean, it's not really that bold of a prediction, but Argentina will go first. Will be first in their group. They won't go out first. They'll be first in the group. So that's a pretty easy prediction, honestly. I mean, it's Argentina, guys. I mean, they've got still Messi, who might not be in his prime anymore, but still Messi. They've got brilliant players. I mean, they're the defending World Cup champions. These teams are not gonna. They might get maybe a draw out of Argentina. One of these teams has potential to maybe do that. I don't think Argentina will lose in this group stage. Peru is not the Peru of before. They're not the same team that Ricardo Gareca got to a final and a semifinal. They are an aging team. They've got some pretty old players. They still got Pablo Guerrero, which is insane that he still plays for the national team. The man's about 40. I thought he was like 50. But they're not a strong team. So I honestly don't see them advancing out of this group. And then there's Chile, who has won this competition twice. And that was not too long ago, and they beat Argentina in penalties both times. That goalie generation is long gone. There's still a couple players here from that team, like Claudio Bravo and Alexis Sanchez. They got Ricardo Gareca now, actually, who was the Peru coach, who brought them a lot of success. And I think he's a great manager. I wish I was a manager the U.S. would have interviewed at some point, but they didn't. But I think that Canada is actually going to advance. Canada, ever since they made that signing of Jesse Marsch, who they have yet to play a game under him. I think, yeah, they still haven't played, not even friendly. But I just think his style, that freaking crazy press style that he has, I think it works perfect with these players that Canada has, and not even just with the bad players. I think that like a lot of the players on this team, like Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies, Tejon Buchanan, I think that they fit that style. So the moment I saw that signing, I was like, that's a pretty good signing for Canada. For the type of players they have and the type of team, I think that works. So I think Canada is actually going to go through a second. I think Jesse Marsch is going to pull masterclass in this group. And like I said, Argentina might drop a couple points with a draw. Might be Jesse Marsch's team that manages that. I see them advancing. I know it kind of sounds like I'm downplaying a couple of these South American teams, because I know South America is strong. But both Peru and Chile are not at their best right now. So I think it's a fair shout, Canada going through. All right, guys. So now let's move on to Group B, or Grupo B in Español. B. De bebé. Anyways, so we got Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica. This is a leveled group. This is a hard one. This is a hard one to call. Obviously, Mexico is not at their best right now. They just got destroyed by Uruguay 4-0. Ecuador is at their best right now. They're a tough team with good players like Estupinian. They got Piero Hincapié, who just won the Bundesliga with Bayer Leverkusen. They're a good team, and they got Kendrick Baez, who's I think he's still 16 or 17 now, which is insane, and he's looking so damn good. But you've also got a Venezuela team who is just tough, and they're doing pretty good in their qualifiers, even getting a draw away at Brazil, which is not something that Venezuela has normally been able to do, because they've always been kind of a punching bag in South America. They did have that team going into, I believe it was the 2014 World Cup, that was coached by, I can't remember his name, I'm blanking right now, I should have done my research, but he was a Venezuelan coach, and he was a pretty good coach. They had a team with like Juan Arango, Salomon Rondon when they were younger, Tomás Rincón when he was younger. That was a good team. That's the last time I saw Venezuela as competitive as this one. Usually they're not very good, but they're going to be a tough team. And this is a tough group to call, especially with Jamaica, who has Premier League level players in their team. But some of them, you know, Jamaica's an enigma, man. Like Jamaica, they don't even have Leon Bailey that's going to be playing, who's probably their best player, because he refuses to play for them because they're unprofessional or something like that. I don't think Jamaica's going to advance because of just what a mess they normally are, and I don't expect them to clean up before this tournament starts. I actually think that Ecuador is going to advance first, and I think Mexico is going to advance a second. It's going to be tight, guys. It's not going to be a walk through the park for any of them, not even Ecuador, who I think is the best team. This is a tight group, and honestly, any one of these four could advance. Like, there's no team that I'm like, oh, they're not going to go through for sure. You know, this is just my prediction, so I think Ecuador and Mexico are going to go through. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think, especially you El Tri fans. I know you guys are pissed about your team, and you guys don't like when we say that they're going to suck, even though you know that's going to happen. Next, we have Group C, Grupo C, and this group has my United States of America, USA, Uruguay, Panama, and Bolivia. So this is not as competitive as the last group, guys. I can tell you right now, the two teams that are going to advance are Uruguay, probably in first, because the U.S., even though they can absolutely pull an upset against Uruguay, they can absolutely beat them. I think they can. But with Greg Berhalter as the manager, I don't see that happening. I really don't. I would be surprised if he's not completely outclassed by Marcelo Bielsa. Marcelo Bielsa is a heck of a manager. He gets the best out of his players most of the time. And Greg Berhalter is Mr. Underperforming. Mr. I underperform. I meet just about expectations. He's like getting a C in school. Greg Berhalter is like a C guy. Like, he'll just meet that expectation just enough to graduate high school. But yeah, the United States is not going to beat Uruguay. I hope we do, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I eat my words. I really hope I eat my words, but I can't see this happening, guys. Greg Berhalter has yet to prove that he could be a top team, and Uruguay is a top team. They've got players that are miles better than our best players. You know, Valverde, you got Ugarte, Betancourt, who I'm a really big fan of. I think he's a fantastic player. Araujo, Jose Maria Jimenez, just brilliant players. Even Darwin Nunez, who's kind of a meme, but he is a top player when he's on. We don't have players at that level. I think our team is more well-rounded probably as a whole, but they don't have those type of players like the ones I mentioned. And also we have the most mediocre coach. Mediocre is probably a compliment, but most mediocre coach like that we could have ever hired for this cycle, which is an absolute shame. So I don't see my team finishing above Uruguay. Maybe we could get a draw, who knows? But, you know, I expect us to beat Panama and Bolivia for sure. Bolivia has always been the punching bag in the United States, or I mean in South America. The United States too, when they come play friendlies against the U.S. or Mexico, they get beat up all the time. But, you know, I don't expect anything from them. They could only win when they're at La Paz, which is like the craziest elevation ever. But even recently, it hasn't worked for them as much because, you know, sporting technology and technology has evolved, and teams are finding ways to put up with that. But anyways, they won't have that advantage here. I honestly do not expect Bolivia or Panama to advance. Like I said, it's going to be Uruguay first, United States second. Easy prediction. And then Group D, Grupo D, that one has Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, and Costa Rica. This one, it's a little bit tougher of a group in my opinion than the one the U.S. is in, but I see Brazil going through as first, and just by a little, over Colombia, who's been red hot, and they're probably going to have the crowd on their side in all of the games that they play in this tournament. But I think Brazil would just edge them and just finish first. They'll get that second spot. It might even be like a goal differential thing. You know, it's going to be tight between these two. I see Paraguay coming in as third. I think Paraguay is a decent team, but they're not as good as they've been before. Almiron did not have a good season. And Costa Rica, who they're still clinging to that 2014 quarter final run. Other than that, they haven't really done much. They got Manuel Ugarte, a couple other young players, but it's not enough, you know. And even Ketel Navas is not going to be there to save their ass. So, you know, I don't see Costa Rica really advancing. They could maybe get a point from Paraguay, but I can't really see them doing much. But yeah, Brazil and Colombia are for sure going to advance from this group, guys. All right, guys, and now into the knockout bracket. So first we have the winners of Group A, which I chose to be Argentina, versus the Group B runners-up, which I chose Mexico. And guys, do I even have to say anything? This is a tale as old as time. Mexico versus Argentina, especially in a official competition, usually does not go well for them. So I do expect Argentina to just wipe the floor with Mexico in that. If it does go this way, Mexico, they're not at that level. They're not well coached. Argentina is, like I said earlier, the World Cup champions. I don't expect Mexico to get past Argentina. I think that's a pretty easy call. And then we have the Group B winner, who I chose to be Ecuador, against the Group A runner-up, who I chose to be Canada. This is going to be a tight one, guys. This is not going to be an easy game for either of them. But I expect at the end of the day, I expect the South Americans to go through, just because they have a bit more quality in their team. I don't think they have a standout player, maybe Hincapié, but at the moment they don't have a standout player like Canada do, where they have like Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David, but they're more of a cohesive unit, more solid. I think they'll be better coached, and I think they'll beat Canada, so I expect them to go through. That's a hard one though. That would honestly could go either way, but I expect Ecuador to have the edge in that one. And then, guys, we also have, on the other side, we have Group C winner, who I chose to be Uruguay, going up against Group D runner-up, who I choose to be Colombia. This is a heck of a matchup. Honestly, this could have probably been the final if the brackets weren't kind of lined up to favor a Argentina versus Brazil final. This could have been a potential final, but unfortunately, one of these powerhouses will have to go out in this one. And I actually choose Uruguay to advance and knock out Colombia, red hot Colombia. I think Uruguay is going to beat them. I think they're going to advance. It's going to be some Bielsa magic going on here. And then, guys, there's the Group D winner against the Group C runner-up. And I chose Brazil to win Group D and the US as a Group C runners-up. As much as it pains me, I cannot see us beating Brazil. Even though this isn't the best Brazil side, and they have a manager who I'm not too familiar with, but he doesn't seem like the best manager ever. But we have Greg Berhalter, who is a handicap. I can't see us beating Brazil. I really can't. Do we have a chance? Of course. For the most part, in any football tournament, every team has a chance to beat anyone, even if it's like a 1-0, parking the bus, bunkering down, ugly win, or going to penalty 0-0, bunkering. There's always a chance. Unfortunately, I don't see us beating Brazil. We have an inept manager. I don't think we could. I think we're going to end up playing Brazil just because we can't get a result against Uruguay. Brazil's just tough, man. In the U.S., they don't have any good luck against Brazil. I've seen the U.S. just always lose to Brazil. I haven't even looked up the record, but I know for a fact I've never seen the U.S. beat Brazil. I've seen us take the game to Brazil maybe once, maybe twice. I think just once in that Confederations Cup final years ago. But Brazil always has our number. Mexico, for some reason, has beaten Brazil a few times in a pretty good way. We've never done that. I don't think this is going to be the time to do it. We just don't have, our team does not have what it takes. And I'm not talking about the players, but of course the players will be at fault too in any loss. It's not all on the manager, but this team just does not have that in them, like that fight, that grit to beat Brazil. And I pray that I'm wrong, but I can't see it, guys. And I know I've already mentioned Greg Berhalter, but I mean, it's the same thing, guys. Anytime we go up against a top team, he gets out-coached. He looks like an absolute amateur of a manager when he goes up against any top team. His team gets outplayed constantly. He falls into the team's traps. Like, it's so simple for any top team to beat the U.S. when it comes to Greg Berhalter. If you're a team with less quality than the U.S. and a good manager, then the U.S. has a pretty good shot at beating you just because of the quality of our players. But if you have a better team with even a mediocre manager, it's going to be pretty hard for Greg to pull a result. So I see Brazil advancing, guys. I mean, it's not... I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be, because we just don't have it in us. Our manager is holding us down per usual. All right, guys, and then we got the semifinal showdown. So I picked Argentina and Ecuador to go through. I think Argentina is going to beat Ecuador. They just have more quality in them. They got a certain like Lionel Messi. Ecuador, like I said, does not have a star player like that. But I don't think it's going to be an easy matchup for Argentina for like in any way. Like I think Ecuador is going to bring it to them, but I see the Albiceleste going through and making it to the final in Miami. And then in the other semifinal, we have the Uruguay matchup versus Brazil. I actually think Uruguay is going to shock Brazil. Yeah, I think Uruguay is going to shock them. I think some more of that Bielsa magic is going to happen, and they're going to shock Brazil. They already beat them in the qualifiers. Brazil does have more quality, way more quality than Uruguay. But in my prediction, I choose Uruguay to shock Brazil. So that's how I think it's going to go down. And that's what I think is going to make the final be a Clásico de la Plata. So I think it's going to be Argentina versus Uruguay. And who am I going to choose to win the final? Guessed it. Uruguay. I'm going to choose Uruguay to make a shock tournament and shock Argentina and beat Argentina in the final. And I think that we're going to see Darwin Núñez raising the Copa America trophy, which is kind of wild, but I think that's how it's going to go down, guys. But anyways, guys, that's my prediction. Let me down in the comments who you think is going to win. Let me know if you think the U.S. is going to advance. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and y'all have a good one.